Hey guys, some of y'all might have heard that I went on a trip to Texas, and it's true. I tried a lot of new things there, and one of the things I did was line dancing. And as someone who's an introvert and has social anxiety, it was absolutely terrifying. And I'm really proud of myself that I pushed myself to do it. So I went there with expectations, and I think that's kind of what threw me off and made me anxious because I went to Mavericks Dance Hall in Texas, and so it's like a country line dancing club, and I thought it was gonna be like I don't know, you get to like freestyle or I don't know, but instead it was like an organized dancing. Like there was like an instructor there, and you have to follow what she's doing, and I was kind of thrown off by that because like I remember as soon as I walked into the place, my jaw kind of like dropped, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. Look at all these people. And there was like a dance floor. And yeah, I was there with my boyfriend, and he was, telling me to get on the dance floor. He's like, we came here for you. You got to dance. And I was like, I can't do this. There's people watching, and I'm terrified. And I was so like, I was at the point where like my palms were sweating. I was all tense, like, that feeling. And I was all stiff. Like I was like, how am I gonna dance? Like I feel like just standing here is like making me nervous. Anyway, so I got onto the dance floor, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. My boyfriend didn't even have to drag me on. I finally mustered up the courage to, get up there on the dance floor, and I look around and I see like there's people watching, there's people sitting down having drinks, there's people just standing up and just looking at the dance floor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But I tried, and I watched the instructor. I tried following what everyone else was doing, doing the right steps and all that. And it was really hard for me. Line dancing, like it looked like it was easy, but it wasn't. And even when the instructor would announce this is gonna be an easy dance routine, I was like, oh, I can do it. Nope, I did really awful. And the video clip that I'm showing is actually one of the better video clips of me. The other ones, I just did so awful. I was getting in people's way, and it felt really humiliating. And the things that I'm telling myself after all this is that, well, it seems like the people that were there have gone line dancing before, and they're good at it, and or at least decent at it, and I shouldn't even be like comparing myself to other people to begin with. And yeah, they seem like they were like regulars, like maybe they go like every weekend or whatever. So I mean, it makes sense that someone like me, who hasn't gone line dancing since I was in middle school, like why did I expect myself to be any good at it? Yeah, so, and one of the crazy things is that I could have sworn that when I was out there dancing that there were people like staring at me and like laughing and pointing. And then when I like came back home and I rewatched the videos, like no one was doing that. And I'm like, wow, so it was like all in my head. Like, when you're socially anxious, like you really feel like people are all staring at you, and like, you know what I mean? Like I could have sworn when I was there that like I felt like all eyes were on me, and people were thinking, what does this girl think she's doing? Like she sucks, like I could have sworn, but like in reality, everyone was busy doing their own thing, or they were just having too many drinks or whatever. I don't know, like nobody cared about me. Like that's the thing, like, you know? And also I think the other thing is I need to really like stop being hard on myself and comparing myself, because like I was traveling, I'm an aspiring world traveler. It was my first time in Texas, and I went to that place because I wanted to experience Texas culture. So I thought line dancing would be a cute little activity. And it makes sense that it was hard for me, and I wouldn't fit in. Like I'm not a Texan, I'm not a country girl. I lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, and Texas culture is different. And I need to remember that. Like, you know, when I'm somewhere else in the world, when I'm traveling, I'm not always gonna fit in, you know? Like there's different cultures, you know, different settings. I'm not always gonna feel like I fit in, and it's okay if I don't, you know? So, yeah. And then the other thing that happened that night was when I was line dancing, um, I don't know why I was like mentally in such like a bad headspace, but like I not only was I anxious, I was also really depressed. Like I felt like such a failure. I was like, oh my God, I can't even line dance. I can't even do the easy dances. And then I was looking around at all the other like young women that were there in their 20s. Like they all looked so pretty, and they were wearing their makeup. And you know, I felt bad because I wasn't wearing makeup because I have all my makeup packed away because I'm gonna be moving. And I guess I didn't have to pack it all away, but I did. And so when I was there, like I just didn't feel good enough. And um you know, like all the other girls, you know, they had on like their tiny little shorts, like, and their cowgirl boots. Okay, I was wearing the boots, but I didn't have the tiny shorts on, and I just kind of felt like I looked like crap, you know, like compared to them. And it's because like I try to dress modest, and I'm telling you, like, it's not always easy. Sometimes I want to dress, you know, and you know, other clothes, but I value being modest, and like it's not always the easy thing to do. But that night I was struggling. I was like, I wish I came here in a different outfit. Like, you know, sometimes I don't know. Okay, it is what it is. But you know, like I just wasn't feeling good. Like that's the whole point. I was depressed. I was insecure. Just a bad like combination of things. And yeah, it's like I kind of wish I didn't feel that way because I would have had a lot more fun. I didn't really, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have fun. But the best part was when I stepped outside onto the patio and I started doing my own line dancing moves. And that's when I realized maybe I'm not so bad at this after all. Um, I think it was just easier for me to just do what I felt like rather than following instructions and feeling like people were watching me. I felt like it was a little bit more private out there on the patio. And so I feel like that was actually my favorite moment, and it made me feel a little better. Cause yeah, like as for the rest of the night, like being on the dance floor and all that, it was completely overwhelming. Like, you know, as someone who suffers from social anxiety and all that, it was really overwhelming. I didn't feel good, and I honestly didn't have as much fun as I wanted to. And like, you know, the pictures will make you think like, oh, she had a lot of fun, like her life is great and all that. Like, no, I have my struggles. That was not an easy night for me. And in fact, when I went home that night, I actually ended up crying. You know, I had trouble, you know, dealing with all of it and just taking it all in. Like, whoa, I did that. I went on the dance floor, and, you know, I felt like all these people were laughing at me. You know, it wasn't easy. Um, yeah, but I did it, and it's all that matters. And I just hope that from here on out, it'll get easier for me to put myself out there and, you know, do things. And hopefully I'll find it to be more fun. Like, I really hope that, you know, I can overcome my struggles. Um, and I think some of my audience who watches my videos also struggles with anxiety and depression. Because I've made videos about that, and, you know, it kind of draws that crowd in. So, I would like to be helpful to anyone that I can to, you know, try and encourage you to get out there and do things despite the negative thoughts, despite the anxious thoughts, you know. I feel like life is better when you just like push through that stuff. Like, I feel like my anxiety is always going to be there. Maybe depression too. But I still try to force myself to do things, and it really kind of helps. Because it's like, I don't want to put my life on hold, you know, I don't want to stop the fun and all that. Like, sometimes I just kind of like suffer through it, like, you know, like line dancing. I can honestly say I was kind of suffering the whole time, but in a way, like, I'm glad that I did it. And I feel like I got something out of it. I feel like I learned from that. And then I got some cute pictures, you know, so it's really not that bad. But yeah. I really enjoyed Texas. I spent time in Austin and San Antonio and Houston. I wish I could have seen Dallas, but there wasn't enough time in this trip. I kind of crammed everything into 1 week. And I think I was spoiling myself. I really got a lot out of this trip. So even if line dancing was like the hardest thing for me there, like, you know, I'm still glad I did it. You know, it was about experiencing that the Texas culture and trying something new, right? So yeah, it was, I guess it wasn't that bad after all. But yeah, so I guess that's really all I have to say for this video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.